everybody, this is Dianne here with another episode of Biters. I am your sleep-deprived 40-something.
And as always, I am your zombified 30-something Brian, nice, awake, and a fresh cup of coffee.
You're a couple hours ahead of me.
Just a few. So, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, hey, this was, we're coming down off of that high again.
Yeah.
From waxing 20 fools to a little suspenseful. Like, I was waiting for this episode to get here. It was one of the things like, oh man. I mean, they've got Carol, they've got Maggie.
And they had a mystery guest.
Yeah, and they had a mystery guest. So you're just like, oh my God, this is going to happen. Like, we have to get here quick. Like, I need this episode to happen. I need to move through. It wasn't a letdown episode. I don't think so. But it was very revealing as the inner workings of the Negan. Dun, dun, dun.
Right. That was kind of a wild thing. It sounds like we're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You want to hit some numbers and some ratings? Okay. Yep. So let's see. Numbers from last week. I just want to hit those real quick. So Not Tomorrow Yet in DVR had predictably the highest gains in the 18 to 39 group that they're always looking for. And it also was on top again in the DVR. It was 17.7 million people. That was the total viewing when they looked at Live Plus 3. So,
which is triple from our season 1.
And I think it was Jeff who said to me that at some point they're going to be looking at Live Plus 7. So I haven't run across any Live Plus 7 numbers yet, but it would be interesting to take that extra full week into account and see what the numbers do.
Yeah, that would be cool because maybe some people watch it on Saturdays.
Right. I mean, I do truly think that they just don't really catch the full watching audience for that first week because people definitely would save it for a Friday or a Saturday when they can actually sit down and watch it and kind of have a little gathering around it.
Yeah, and I definitely think it directly applies to our world because in podcasting we have the same thing. Right. We can see how many downloads happen on the first day, the second day, the third day, but that's why we look at things from a month perspective because maybe you weren't there and didn't get time to download it, but because of the feed, if you were on vacation for a week, you can come back and then download 3 episodes at once and then listen to them all straight. So that wouldn't show up on like a Live Plus 3 thing, but if you had them recorded and just waiting.
By the way, I know we'll get to this at the end, but I just want to say the listener feedback and participation on Facebook this week has been just great.
Yeah, super cool, guys. Thanks, guys and gals. It's been sweet and fun. We love it.
Yeah, tons of fun. So this episode was called The Same Boat. And what did you think the title meant? I think we'll probably be pretty similar. Yeah,
it was pretty similar. I mean, there. I don't think there were any hidden meanings to this. It was when Malls was coughing up the blood, and she said, those things will kill you, and I wrote it down exactly.
Uh-huh.
If you got it. Oh, here we go. We're already both dead. I'm a dead woman walking, which puts us in exactly the same boat.
So I think that is exactly where the title came from. And thanks to the person on Facebook, we'll look at it later, who told us where Not Tomorrow Yet came from. Because I was struggling, I had nothing, and you had some stuff. It actually was what Carol said to Tobin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she kind of flirtatiously looks at him and says, well, it's not tomorrow yet.
Uh-huh.
So, I think The Same Boat also were there were a couple of other things. So Carol and Maggie are in the same boat as Paula and Shell. And I think you see that, here we go with our word, because they really juxtapose those 4 characters with one another.
Mm-hmm.
So at 6 a.m., we're not drinking, but I thought about it. My go-to is a Cosmopolitan, so everybody lift a glass.
Yay!
And the other thing that I thought, and this was more from the internet and all the stuff that's been going back and forth, is that the survivors are in the same boat as the saviors. Because they truly are killers now, and people are, the interwebs are having an issue with that. So I kind of felt like, they're not exactly the same, but they're in the same boat.
Yeah, it was, I'll talk about my stuff later, because it's direct reference on what you're talking about.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
How'd you rate it?
I rated this one 3.5 emptied gas cans out of 5 because of the fire, the kill room,
yeah,
whatever it was called.
I rated it 4.152 out of 5 bite-sized snacks for the dead.
Nice. That was a good one. Yes. Because I did my rewatch this morning, and I was like, oh my God, that was such an awesome thing to say.
It was a good line. It was
how impactful, though, to think about that.
Yeah.
You know, because Maggie's going to have some lasting thoughts on the drive back to the compound, and wow, we are just making bite-sized snacks for the dead. You know, it's that kind of a thought.
Yeah, I think both of our ladies left changed.
Yeah, completely different ways too.
Yeah. So our author was Angela Kang, and we've seen her name before. She's got multiple producer and crew credits on The Walking Dead. I didn't see any writer credits, but I know she's written, so I may have just not really wended my way through IMDb very skillfully. And then we have a director named Billy Geihart. Do you remember hearing of him?
Mm-mm.
So it turns out he's got a bunch of Walking Dead credits. I mean, stuff like all the way going back to Cherokee Rose, which I think is really significant because of the moment between Daryl and Carol at the end. But he's also got stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, Once Upon a Time, Hell on Wheels, which is one of my favorite other series.
Really? I fell off. I wanted to love that. I wanted to love Hell on Wheels so bad.
Dude, it's the horse porn.
But I just couldn't. I was just like, oh my God, they couldn't stick with a character or story and drive it. It was just getting really scattered and really didn't have much oomph to it. It was like a great time. And for me, so sidetrack, in Iowa, that's where a lot of this stuff happened.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, in my hometown of Owine, Iowa, it's about 6,000 people now. It was the hub of railroads. Minnesota traveled right into Owine, Chicago, Kansas City, and Omaha. So you had these 4 pipelines cutting through Owine. So it was a big town, and the railroad plays such an important part of the history. And this stuff was just connecting right there with it. And this was going to be awesome. And they just could not get it done for me. I was very sad.
I do have to say they came off the rails in the 3rd season for me. I mean, season 1, season 2, I was right there. And then by the 3rd season, I'm pretty much just watching it for the horses and the tack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need more than just horses.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about Billy Geihart, or Geihart, I think it's Geihart, but I'm not sure, is that he was a camera operator on The Mist, that Stephen King movie, and it keeps coming back to us because of its connections with The Walking Dead. Laurie Holden and Jeff DeMunn were in it, and I want to say, I didn't look this up, but I want to say that Frank Darabont directed it. So we keep going back to some of those season 1, season 2 ties.
Sure.
And I think that's probably how this fellow got hooked in with our series.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
let's do this. Are
we're
we ready?
Diving in.
All right. You start with your epic.
Well, first I have to say that I really hope that the Maggie and Carol centric episode is not foreshadowing anything, but I totally think it is.
Oh, totally.
So my epic was really Carol, and I broke it down into a couple of different things. So first was the obvious influence of Morgan's garbage on Carol.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she hesitated in the forest, and I think she's right. She talks about it later, and she's like, I could have prevented all of this by killing him in the forest. I had a clear shot. She was talking about Donnie.
Yeah.
And I think she's right. So I think that Morgan bears some responsibility in all of this. I also think that she held on to it for a long time because she even hesitated with the killing of Malls when Malls was alone dealing with those walkers toward the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
so let's just recap 1 second here. So everyone's on the same page. Paula,
right,
is the leader lady.
Who was very cool on The Talking Dead, I gotta tell you.
Malls is the older lady who was smoking. Donnie is the guy, and Shell is the biker gal, stronger, younger female.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Go ahead.
So anyway, so she hesitated killing Donnie and Malls, even Malls toward the end. And then she actually let Maggie be the person who undid the tourniquet and let Donnie bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
So her hesitance to kill was really annoyed me, but it actually was played into the whole part of Carol as the epic part of this episode. Her killing didn't really kick in until Maggie was cut when she was fighting with Shell. And then that moment where she just reaches out and point blank fires her pistol into Shell's head.
Wow.
That was big.
Yes.
And then, of course, she impaled Paula and left her as walker bait. And then that completely, for me, caught me off guard, lighting all those saviors on fire.
Yeah, that was... I thought they were just going to lock them in there. I thought there was going to be walkers. And then, so I was like, why in the hell is she smoking a cigarette? But in the same token, then I thought, she's going out this way. Like, she was lighting a cigarette, and
it was kind of that last cigarette. Yeah.
And she was going to go down the hallway and just shoot. And if she got shot, she got shot. Like, that's what I was like, here we go. She's going to do it. And then they just, like, close the door and, like, see ya.
That was pretty impressive. I mean, it really did take me off guard, or catch me off guard. And apparently she used Maul's cigarette lighter.
Yeah, with the little skull on it.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Which I think that the burning of the guys alive is going to, that's it for Carol.
I just think everything adding up, but I do feel like that was the final straw.
Well, that plus then Rick killing off whatever the guy's name was.
Oh yeah, Pino,
yeah. Whatever. Just I'm Negan, you stupid whatever, and then he just, I'm sorry, it had to be the kaboom, and then Carol just like stood there and stared at the pistol and was just like, oh my, you can't escape it.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about the meaning of that, so I'm going to not touch that right now. One more thing I want to say about Carol, and then I'll let you get to your epic, is I thought the other part of her epic was her fake-out / real breakdown. There were times that I had a hard time telling the difference between the two. You know, initially I thought she really was hyperventilating, and then I was like, nah, she's faking it. She's building up to something. And then later on, when she was praying the rosary, I was like, that was all BS, man. She's building up to something. And then I kind of feel like the hyperventilating did turn out to be a gimmick, and I felt like praying the rosary actually it certainly played a role in her escape, but it was the real deal. Yeah,
I was very torn at how to read that situation, because she was doing very well.
And I think that's the way they wanted it. I mean, I think they wanted us guessing.
Yeah, because I don't think we were going to feel the same way about her at the end of the episode as what we did prior. So my epic was different.
Okay, go for it.
My epic was Maggie staying focused on the mission.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, they had opportunities to run. They had opportunities to go away. But Maggie staying focused and bashing Maul's head in with the butt of the pistol, and I want
to stop you on that one for just a second if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's foreshadowing?
No. Okay. I think that was just Maggie doing what Maggie needed to do.
Maggie seemed at times almost feral in this episode, you know?
But she's a mama bear now.
Yeah, I agree.
And she knows that they are going to kill them. They are going to die. If they don't escape this building, they are going to die.
Yeah, I agree. And she even saw Carol's hesitation and was like, Carol, just shoot him. Carol, just shoot.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be a convert. I think there's a lot of this. I think our next episode is going to be dull. It's going to be a lot of people dealing with certain things. And I won't get too much into it, but I think Maggie is going to rat out Carol.
Oh, interesting.
And saying she almost cost us our lives. She was trying to let them run away and giving them opportunities to leave, just like Morgan did with the wolves that almost killed Rick.
I was just going to say, and ultimately by ratting out Carol, she rats out Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
But I interrupted your epic, so please keep going.
No, that was it. That was it. That was really it. It was just, the way Maggie was dealing with it. She was watching Carol and thought she was really freaking out, and then she's like, oh, wait, this is all part of Carol's plan. But then she was also realizing Carol's different.
Yeah.
Carol is changing, and I have to be that patriarch. That she is going to get her hands dirty. She is going to order people to kill, then she has to get her hands dirty as well. And I think that's what she's doing.
I think so too. And I think Maggie she didn't get hard, but she got really solid. And I agree, really focused.
Mm-hmm.
No, Carol, we have to kill them. We have to finish this. So I agree. That was a great epic.
So for fails, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here, and I'm gonna make you go, wow. So just a reminder, fails and epic fails don't mean we're finding things wrong with the episode and we're trying to hunt something down. It's fails for our own emotions and what we see happening. So if we just don't like the way a character is going, that's what we're going to talk about. So I felt the fail this week was I felt like the episode portrayed women as gullible and weak.
Oh, that is crazy because I kind of have an opposite. So this is cool. Go for it.
So the way that they were able to essentially just make emotional mincemeat out of each other. They were playing to each other's emotions and to their lives. And they kept making mistakes. They pulled out their gags so they could talk. Strike one. While Paula was smart on one side, she was very smart, and no, we're not giving them up yet. We need to think our options through. We need to wait for this XYZ. She would also then start to reveal parts of her life about having the 4 daughters and this and that. While she was trying to explain how hard she was also explaining how soft she was, because she started to cry when she was talking about her daughters. And those are entry points. And I just felt like they just kept making all the dumb mistakes, and it was just the women playing to the women's emotions and just kept making them dumber and dumber as the episode went on. Like, that's really, I was sitting there going like, oh man, like, for being so smart, Paula, and for being the leader of this outpost, which I genuinely think she was the leader of that outpost, you are making some really stupid mistakes off of emotions. And it just kept leading to that point with Carol and second guessing herself and all of this stuff. And they just kept, it was just one giant emotional thing. And I just felt the episode really just made the women in this episode kind of stupid. So that's that. I mean, chop me up here, but that was just me. And I'm just like, come on, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you splitting up? Why are you leaving them unattended? Why are you doing all of these things? So you're being hunted right now, Paula and Malls and Shell. And, just like giving her the rosary. Like, there's no way Rick or Daryl or anybody would have done that. And I don't think they would have either. But it had to be written in that way for them to give them all these options to get out. Like, why were they never tied to the pole?
May I have an opportunity for a rebuttal, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So a bunch of things struck me about this. The first thing that struck me was, and I've got this written in my notes somewhere, don't want to delve too deeply into the book, except to say that in Negan's world in the comic book, women are secondhand citizens and they're a commodity. Right. So I was actually super surprised to see women essentially fronting this group. I was very surprised to see them all in roles of power and to have the guy kind of relegated to second class status. To me, it just proved how much dirtier women play than men, because they were looking for those cracks. They were looking for ways to just torment each other a little bit more. That's why they were like, oh, you're a pathetic little bird when they were talking to Carol. And to me, it just showed how differently women fight than men do. And I hate to be sexist, but it's you're right. I mean, the men would have gone in, it would have been a job, it would have been over, it would have been done. But the women, they like peeling the skin off and salting the wound.
See, it's just different viewpoints. I mean, really what it is, it just felt like they were this episode just really downplayed their intelligence. I mean, because at this point, to be these leaders, they were making such good decisions, but then they would just turn around and make some really bad ones. And they were intentionally written in there to be bad ones. And it just made me feel like they just really kind of set that group of women back, but they were there for a purpose. I mean, they were there because they were smart and they were powerful. Even Donnie said something, you lost your balls.
But then the other woman says, you wouldn't, she doesn't have any to trip over,
Yeah, it just, man.
And then Paula looks at Donnie as he's essentially dying on the floor and says, he's nothing to me. He's just there to warm my bed.
Yeah.
So, the way that women fight, and I don't know if you've seen, don't know if you fight with your wife, but the way that women fight is that we don't go for the easy kill. We go for the painful, bloody, nasty kill. So by getting under Paula's skin and getting her to talk about her 4 kids, getting her to talk about that email that was going around, them name calling Carol, them finding out that Maggie is pregnant, and then kind of that Shell telling her the story of her pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things are ways to hurt the other person just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it just, anyways, on to your fail.
So my fail was just kind of a mechanics thing. I just thought the pacing wasn't great. That's the reason that I rated this lower, because there was some really good stuff in this episode, but it just didn't feel like last week, the way it just hummed along. And I think it actually probably suffers in comparison to last week. I think if we'd had it before, or if we had it at a different point in the season, if there was some way for that to have happened, I might have rated it higher, but I was just fresh off of, a fast-paced episode where a lot was happening and everything clicked together really nicely. And I just felt like there was so much exposition, so much of I got this email when my mom was sending me all of these inspirational emails, and my boss, all I did was carry coffee for him. It developed the characters, and it actually obviously made us think a lot about the characters, since we had a little bit of a spar over your fail. But I also just feel like it didn't keep me at the edge of my seat. It didn't hook me in quite as much as last week did.
No, and you have to have these low points, but in this low point, there was still a lot of stuff, and that's what I really kind of enjoyed. Like you said, the pace, it was there. They were really holed up in this place. But even beyond that, it shows the network of outposts and storage facilities, and just this ever-reaching, how far does this net of the Negan go?
Right. And so you were absolutely right, because you asked, do you think this is the compound or the forward operating base? And we both agreed it was the forward operating base, and I think it actually absolutely bears out with the way this episode went down, too.
So what's your epic fail?
Well, this may not be epic, but to me it was. I thought Carol's reveal of Maggie's pregnancy was crazy.
Really?
I
assumed that was coming like right off the bat.
Did you really?
Yeah, just to try and save her.
Now, I think it might have been an attempt to try and save her, but by that point, it was so clear by how cold and calculating, and at that point just totally focused on, yeah, you're gonna die. You're gonna die today. I want to kill you both, but it's just not in the cards right now. I think that Paula really proved that she doesn't care that Maggie's pregnant or not.
No, she did not. That was cool.
So I think that Carol's reveal, there was actually nothing to gain and just more to lose. So I actually thought it was a big mistake.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take. I just assumed that was coming right off the bat from Carol.
That's so funny. I think we watched this with our boy and girl glasses on.
Yeah, apparently. Just the whole, you're not supposed to be here, and why is she here? Why is she on this mission from 2 weeks ago? And
right.
Then, that whole spiel, like, I assumed that was the first thing out of Carol's mouth as soon as that gag was coming out. And it pretty much was, don't hurt me, just don't hurt Maggie or the baby. And then they're like, what?
And see, that took me by surprise, because I was thinking, that's just revealing a weakness in this group that they don't need to know about.
Well, they're all dead now, so.
So what's your epic fail?
My epic fail was Carol. That's
funny.
Yeah, we are polar opposites.
Yeah, we were definitely watching it with boy and girl glasses this week.
Yeah, everything that I loved about Carol is gone. Like, she lost so much from me this episode.
Now I can see that. I can see that.
She has just turned into a little bird. You know, she still killed when it was on there, but at what cost? She could have got, and almost did, get Maggie killed in this.
Yes.
She killed when it was at the absolute breaking point. So it wasn't her first reaction, it was her last reaction.
And they both revealed that this impacted them. You know, Maggie said, I can't do this anymore. And Carol told Daryl, no, I'm not okay. So it absolutely had ramifications.
Yeah, but it was how they both went about it. Maggie stayed in the moment, accomplished the mission, then reflected on it. Whereas Carol was reflecting on it before she even pulled the trigger. And it almost got her killed twice. And if it would have got her killed, it would have got Maggie killed. Because Carol's the only one who had the gun.
I agree. I picked her as my epic just because there was so much happening with her character, but I can also see how all that stuff that was happening with her character can be interpreted as a fail as well.
Yeah, as it was going, you know, she was doing the whole pretending. I'm like, yep, this is Carol. You know, she did the same thing with Alexandria where, you know, she pretended to be the housewife, but behind the scenes, you know, she was just a ruthless killer. Mm-hmm. And then as it was progressing, I'm like, oh man, she really is changing. Oh man, Carol, no, what are you doing? And it's Morgan.
Yeah, I agree.
Morgan,
I agree.
You bastard. Because then it's just going to allow Morgan to do this more aggressively.
And you know, I've got to tell you that there was a point at which all of this was going on, and I thought, Morgan, just die!
Yes. Well, so side note is we did get it confirmed from Greg Nicotero that he is building a jail.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Was out there. So they were asking, you know, what's he building? And Nicotero said, you know, yep, he's building a jail. You couldn't quite see it. You know, if you remembered what it was, yes, but he is in fact building a jail cell.
Okay. So
now who's he going to throw in jail?
Well, not Carol, because she's been sucked over to his way.
He might throw Rick in jail.
I think that's a reasonable thought. I don't think there's anyone who's quite so much his opposite right now as Rick.
So there you go. That was my epic fail. Yeah, that's just there you go.
Well, what's that smelly stuff sticking to your feet?
Oh, that's my rotten poopery.
All right, take us in.
Sure. So one of my rotten pooperies was the fact that Paula was smart enough not to reveal the second group that was incoming.
Right.
You know, where they go, God, Rick thinks we're stupid. And she's like, that's a good thing. And just the way she was methodically managing 2 projects, or 3 projects, so to speak. She was handling Carol and Maggie.
Right.
She was handling Rick's group. And she was also waiting for her inbound group. It was like Patrol 1 or Patrol 2 or something like that.
And 4 projects, really, because she was maintaining her group as well.
Yeah. So she had all this stuff going on. And then with the radio channel, she's like, boom, Theta Protocol, beat Bravo 769er. You know, if we kind of fade in and out, pop over to Alpha channel, but listen only. As in, don't reveal yourself.
So the thing that I read into that was they are well organized and they have worked together for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you've got even coded language developed, and you know, I mean, I don't know, you can tell me or not, if that's language that's used in the military, then they just superimpose that structure.
Yeah,
but they had a structure they were able to create and use and pull civilians into.
Yeah. I mean, the Theta and that stuff isn't, but the phonetic alphabet is obviously, but it was just how they, like you said it. I mean, they have a network. This network is beyond small. It's beyond, it is just this massive, massive unit. And so I would like to go back to last week when I said, how cool would it be if Negan, quote unquote, was just a lieutenant and there was this patriarch who was in charge of everything. And as it would look, that might be a real thing.
Which again is so, maybe that's the hard left, because that's so opposite from the way that women are looked at in this story in the book.
Yeah, I don't think they could pull off the whole Negan and women's or commodities and stuff like that. I don't think they could pull that off on TV. I don't think it would go over very well. I think you might risk losing
a female audience.
Yeah, I think you really could, just because it doesn't really need to be there to really forward this story. Now, he could really be ruthless, but if you're going to start throwing in that kind of stuff, it just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, he's already horrifying.
Yeah. So, the way women are in this group, if you look in this one outpost, I mean, Paula was the leader. Malls seemed to be kind of on the bottom end of the spectrum. But Shell, she seemed to be pretty powerful and pretty important. And
she was kind of a lieutenant.
Yeah. And to that fact that, she went to look for her boyfriend and was brave enough to go steal gas to do this. So to defy orders and steal gas, she only got the top part of her pinky chopped off.
Yeah.
Which she was important enough not to punish further and important enough to only cost her a pinky as a reminder. But who did that? Was it Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character or was it Paula?
I don't have a great answer for that at this point. I think I think it's really open.
That's something is we all want to say, it was Negan being punishing, but Paula was clearly in command.
Yeah.
Clearly in charge. And they understood that. And she was ruthless. She's like, I could kill him right now. I don't care. I killed my boss right off the bat because he was going to kill me. And I stopped caring. That's pretty important stuff. And I think the more off-the-cuff bold prediction I had last week, I'm thinking there's more meat to that now. And I like it.
It would be a good twist because I think you're right. I think it's preservation of the female demographic. And, I've got to say, even though she was only with us for one episode, Paula was compelling. And I spent a little bit of time looking up the actress because I thought, I've got to know a little bit more about this woman, Yeah,
I thought she was really good. She did such a good job. It was super cool. I loved it.
So a little bit of extra rotting potpourri for people. She actually is an actress named Alicia Witt, and she actually had her film debut in Dune in 1984.
Wow.
She played Aaliyah. I haven't read the Dune series. My husband is obsessive about them, but I don't have the context for that character, but it sounded like it was fairly major. She's got multiple TV credits. She's got repeat TV credits on shows like Justified, which has a big following. So I think we're going to see her star continue to rise.
Cool.
Yeah, she was super good in this episode.
One other thing that I liked about the group and Paula is that they were all experienced in dispatching walkers. Clearly, to be a part of this group, you have to bring value. So it's not like Alexander where it's like, I've never killed a walker before.
Right.
Even Malls is coughing up blood. She's going to die very soon from natural causes. Well, not really natural, but you get it.
Yeah.
And she's still out there just, got to clear the hallway.
Yeah.
Might as well walk out here. And she's killing two at once. Like, nobody was scared. Like, oh no, there's 2 or 3. I'm just going to hold them at one arm's distance, stab them in the head, they drop. Do the same thing over and over. And I was watching Malls where Carol was hiding around the corner. Like, she killed and then pushed onto a live walker, and then the live walker, she held the hand down with a foot and then killed it. It's like, that's experience in knowing what their reach is, what their damage is capable of, and how to go about dispatching walkers comfortably and carefully.
Yeah, she's obviously done this before several times. And the other thing that kind of struck me about Malls, and I think that was really where it got me thinking more about the role of women, really honestly. I mean, you can kind of look at Paula as a one-off, but Malls was right there in the thick of it with her pistol tucked into her waistband. And she apparently had equal value as a team member, in spite of the fact that she was an older woman with a terminal illness. And that was what really made me think, they're going to be treating women differently in this world.
One part of yucky rotten potpourri was that when I hate this, and it's not just The Walking Dead, it's in all TV because it's like a signal. But when Paula comes in to find Malls and the guy dead,
Uh-huh.
She rechambers around in her gun.
Right. I'm going for it. I'm going to be badass now.
Yeah, so you didn't have a chamber in your gun? Because if you pulled the trigger, nothing would have happened because you didn't chamber around. But if you already had a round in there and you just rechambered around, it would kick out that other round that's already in there. So I'm confused at what the hell's going on here. It's just like, click, click, let's go. Like, it's in all movies, all shows.
Yeah.
And it just irritates the crap out of me. So that was a yucky, rotten poultry.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, let's see. What else? I thought that the reveal that Shell was the daughter of Frankie from the motorcycle gang, and I'm not quite sure which one he was. Was he the leader?
I don't know.
But then she was also, her boyfriend who got her pregnant was in the motorcycle gang as well. I thought that was kind of just a neat little tie-in.
Yeah, that, her being pregnant, her going to steal the gas to go find them, that was all cool. I didn't really like her character.
No.
She seemed to be the hard ass that was pretending to be a hard ass because you could see that there was all this emotion, especially with Maggie being pregnant.
Right.
You know, she did long stares and you could tell that she was in her own thoughts while holding up a front. But the one thing that she said that was really cool is when she was interrogating Maggie and she goes, "You're not the good guys. You should know that."
Yes.
And it's just like, wait, what? But is that because you just came in and killed everybody? Because that's a funny comparison. I killed you, so I'm no longer the good guy? Or is there something much larger here at work?
Well, so I think it goes back into them being in the same boat, right? I mean, my feeling from it is that she still thinks that Carol and Maggie perceive themselves as something better and kind of high and mighty. And she's like, nah, you're just like us. You're out to survive and you're killing whoever's in your way.
That or everybody presents themselves as the good guys because it's how you justify doing the things you do.
Right. And I think that our group, by and large, still sees themselves as good guys right now. That may change.
Mm-hmm. It very well may change. Or at least a division of the group where Morgan and Carol now see themselves as the bad guys.
Right.
We cross the line, we can't come back from. We're now the bad guys.
Which is so funny. The two who've sworn off killing, maybe three if we count Maggie, are the ones who call themselves the bad guys. And the ones who keep doing it are like, no, we're the good guy.
Yeah, we're killing in the name of here.
So another thing that came out of that interrogation that I really liked is that Shell says to Maggie, "You've got nice clothes and time to make babies. You must live somewhere good."
Mm-hmm.
And it just was a good reminder to me that maybe our group needs to play it a little more low key. You know, maybe they need to
get dirty.
Yeah. To not look so put together, to not look so well fed, to not look so like they've got that time on their hands, because it does make them more desirable as a commodity.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because they make the same thing comparison with Jesus when they first meet Jesus.
Right.
He goes, he was groomed, so he came from somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a good point. If you're going on a run, you need to have ratty old clothes like you're just a couple of scavengers.
Yep.
Not, oh, hey, look, we're all nice, clean, and proper, and our teeth are brushed, and our nails are trimmed, and you're holed up somewhere nice. Where are you?
So
that's
maybe everybody kvetching about Daryl not taking a shower last season, maybe Daryl's got the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that came out of that interrogation for me, and you mentioned it, the missing finger. So it just told me a little more about Negan and the way that he runs his group. And he really does have an eye for eye society. Yeah,
it's very, look, here are the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is above them. Period. If we're not going to go do this, we're not going to do this. And even if maybe it's just the gas, because if you think back to where Daryl and the guy and the girl, I can't remember their names. They steal the motorcycle. The saviors were like, get on your knees. You know, we wasted all this gas coming out here to find you. You're going to have to pay for it.
Right.
You know, that kind of a deal. And they're like, it was ours. We took it fair and square. It was our stuff. And they stole their stuff back.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's really, I really want to just kind of vault ahead, but we only have 3 episodes left.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Ugh.
So let's talk about it now. The Negan. We're all. It was brought up twice.
Right, it was.
Where Carol was crying and Miles goes, "Honey, we're all Negan."
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? And Paula turned around at that point, and then Primo. God, yeah. Why can't I remember Primo? He says the same thing. He's like, was Negan there or was he here? And it's just both. I'm Negan.
Yeah.
And then bang,
Rick gets fooled. I think Rick is fooled.
I think Rick was fooled, but Carol and Maggie are going to say something.
Yeah.
No, they said they were all Negan. And they were talking to people on the radio. There has to be a debrief here of what the situation is and what just happened. And, they have to have that bigger realization. Kind of where we were talking about, like, what the hell? They just blew up 8 guys on motorcycles. And now they're not thinking that there's going to be repercussions because they said it belongs to Negan. And when you're talking, like, you can't honestly think this was it. Like, that's what's very frustrating, is that this group has this whole fear thing of all these different communities and these trade routes. You can't honestly think that's it. Like, you just went, yep, cool, we killed them all. And there has to be more. There has to be that next level. There has to be just this continual progression of what's there.
I agree. I mean, I think it's so much bigger. And it brought to mind for me some of the old sci-fi movies, like these are the pod people,
Yeah, like I think of it as a money pyramid.
But just with very food. Good. Yeah.
Here's the main Negan compound. I now have these 5 people that are giving me food to supply my operations. And now those 5, if they want to continue to work for me, great. But those 5 can now go find 5 of their own to torment, to bring food back. So then that fills them up, and then they pass some on.
And that's how they grow their operation as well as grow their forces.
Right. So it just keeps branching out into this giant network, which could be across state lines and just kind of all over the place.
So do you think the whole We Are Negan is a way to corral them into one mindset so they're really a unified group? Do you think it's a way to protect the actual Negan?
Yes. I think it's a way to protect the actual Negan.
Okay.
I think it's just a way to protect the actual Negan, because just kind of to that point, if you have, let's say, if the one main Negan compound has 5 and then those 5 have 5, that's 125 compounds. Well, if you think one is Negan and this was who he was, but even then, they have to go back and say to Jesus and say, who was the guy who came with the ball bat? This is what he looked like. I did not see anybody who looked like that.
You're right.
We have to have these crucial conversations at some point, right?
They may not happen in front of us. But you're right. I mean, I think they do need to start debriefing and putting those pieces together so they know what they're facing. I mean, they were methodical about getting directions and the layout of the compound that they went and attacked. You would think they would be that methodical about figuring out the parts and pieces of the group that they're dealing with.
I hope so.
I hope so too, but I think it may be one of those areas where they make mistakes because they're cocky.
And I hope they go back and clean out that bunker with all of the weapons and the food and all that stuff. I really hope they go back there and clean that place out, because that would be another point of, okay, well, this guy said he was Negan, and Jesus is like, no, that wasn't. Negan's not bald and Latino. That's not Negan. No.
Yeah.
So he said his name was Primo. Yeah, that's not. No, I've met Primo. That's not the guy who showed up with a ball bat. So there has to be that. Okay, well, then we need to go back to the compound and make sure we kill them and clean the place out.
Right.
I mean, there has to be something to this realization, because I don't want it to be another surprise where all of a sudden they're out on a run and Negan gets them and comes to the gates of Alexandria and beats Glenn or Carol's head in with a ball bat and says, no, I'm Negan. And I heard you took down one of my cells. So now I'm here for compensation.
Although it would be the appropriate parallel to have Negan show up to attack them in their homes.
Mm-hmm. Just right at the gate.
Yeah.
They're all looking through the gate, and Negan's out there and is like, hey, we need to understand this right off the bat, kind of a deal. But And he does it and says, look, here's what's going to happen because this is exactly what I did with Hilltop. Or when they get back to Hilltop, is it going to be destroyed? You know, I mean, there's so many other things that have to happen in 3 episodes.
I think Hilltop still plays a big role. I don't think Hilltop is going to get destroyed, but I also, already see branching off from the storyline that I know, and this is about where my knowledge of the storyline ends. So, I don't know.
Do you think maybe Gregory will sell out Alexandria to save his own skin?
I think Gregory would sell out his own mother to save his own skin. I am not going to discount that.
That's kind of a possibility on how Negan will find them.
Yeah, I'm not going to discount that at all. I think that's a very real possibility. Hey, I want to do a callback. There was a really funny callback to Glenn talking to Rick on the radio. At one point, Paula says to Rick, "Hey, asshole, are you there?"
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to give Fear the Walking Dead 462 the honorary zombie kill of the week. Did you see it?
No, I fast forwarded through it because I was doing stuff during the commercial, so I did not get to see that clip that was in there.
The kid who has been a very big part of this,
right?
Tossed a straight knitting needle to the Asian woman who was being threatened by a zombie, and she put it right through the zombie's eye.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I turned and looked at my husband and I said, that is why we should never be allowed to knit in the cabin or in the cockpit of the plane, or the cabin. Yeah, the cabin of the plane.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to.
Actually, for a while, total divergent here, but for a while, you're right. So things like the snips that are used to cut thread and knitting needles were banned, but they're not banned any longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm an obsessive knitter among everything else I do. But it was good. The knitting needles of the week, I often visualize doing that to people, so thank you, Fear the Walking Dead 462.
What else you got for Rotten Potpourri?
Oh, let's see. Let me see if I've got anything else written down.
I do have one about Rick while you're looking.
Sure, go for it.
Rick was continually pushing that trade like it was going to happen, no matter what. And they're like, well, yeah, he's getting cocky, but then it dawned on Paula. His radio was no longer staticky.
That was a good catch, and I didn't catch that. I mean, without having that, again, exposed to me as part of the story by one of the other characters, I would have missed that. So.
It was cool. I liked it. It was, as it was going, because that's one thing I was listening for. I'm like, oh, he's close. That's why he kept doing it, because Daryl was tracking them. Daryl was, nope, this way, here, turn here. Daryl was tracking them, and that's why he just kept pushing it like it was going to happen. Like, no, you've got a choice. You can still walk away from this. P.S. I'm also running it right up your tailpipe.
Right, so. Right on your doorstep, man.
And so I thought that was pretty cool, and how there's got to be more coming, because you would think that patrol group would have radioed back to the main compound and said, hey, they got into trouble. They were overridden. We're going to pick them up.
Right.
Because there's multiple channels. There's all this stuff. Everyone's got radios. That's how they stay in contact. So that means they all have power because they have to recharge these batteries.
Doesn't take much to do something like wind power or water power, They just have to have someone who knows how to make it happen.
Well, yeah, that and solar. I mean, if they're at these facilities.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know how it works. Like here in Iowa, everything is on solar power for the government. So, like, if they're at the traffic lights that are out in the middle of nowhere, if they're the street lights that are at like a major intersection, they all have solar panels that are powering these things.
We don't have that up here.
Jeez.
We have gasoline generators.
I have a guy who I know who can sell you some solar panels. Yeah. I don't think he's done business in Alaska yet.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, people are going off grid do that, but by and large, we still don't have much solar power up here. So I guess just my last stuff, I've got a couple of notes from Talking Dead, but there was a commercial, and I think it was the commercial for the Talking Dead, and they talk about, see Maggie and Carol's escape, and it was before they had escaped, so I was ticked off that there was a spoiler in the commercial. I mean, it looked like they were going to escape, but you just never know.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I wrote truly Blinken epic when Carol lit those guys on fire.
That was pretty cool. I did not expect that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And then just the observation, and we've already talked about this, that Maggie and Carol are both victims as a result of this run.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have some lasting impacts of them burning those guys alive, watching Rick just execute another person.
Yeah.
Kaboom. And Carol, you didn't have to kill that person. And he's going to be like, really? Are we seriously doing this right now? And, it's just going to be that whole battle of we don't want to be this monster that we've become kind of a deal. So let me say this here. Let me run down some names here on the Facebook group. Laura Willis Swank, as always. Erica Eccles. Dianne
Brand new.
Lassora.
That's a new name. Erica Eccles.
Yeah, Erica Eccles. She's new. Her Negan kill list is Daryl, Glenn, Maggie, Carol, and or Abraham. She no famous autograph, but she did purchase a Bessie Smith vinyl once, owned by Barbara Streisand.
That's pretty cool.
Who else we have here?
So I talked with Gijo Puthia. He actually said, I said, tell us if we're pronouncing your name right. And he was like, no, it's Gijo.
Gijo, all right.
And he said about last night, it was good, but our group is like the luckiest people still alive. They kill 50 people and none of them even have a scratch. I guess we can file that with the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, or we can get ready for the Kill Fest coming up here.
Right. Oh, speaking of Kill Fest, I do want to say, I didn't realize when they told the other group to meet them on the killing floor that it was actually it wasn't a real slaughterhouse. It was a slaughterhouse that was built as a set. But I didn't realize that it was a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, so neither did I.
Oh, that was kind of cool, and then detail was exposed, and I was like, oh, it really literally was the killing floor of the slaughterhouse.
Yep. So on that message note, Carla Mae Gibson Boisvert. This came out of nowhere, and oh my God, this could totally be true. Is Carol bit?
Right.
I thought so, but they show the next episode. But they'll show it the next episode. Wow. Like, I didn't think about that, but she was too close for comfort in all of those other walkers, and they were wrestling around. And when that one broke free of the pole, it latched onto her, and that's what caused them to scuffle. So it's very possible that she got bit in there somewhere, and we just don't know it yet.
It is, and that would be a pretty amazing twist, and then we would still need someone to meet with Negan. Yeah.
I'm already bit. I'm already going to die. Let me just do this.
Oh. And that really plays into the thing that Malls said about her when Malls revealed that she was dying. We're all in the same boat. We're dead women walking.
Yep.
Interesting.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I gotta bring up Cody Redbeard Stradley because we have not seen him post before. And he shared some pretty cool stuff. He shared a picture of his Walking Dead collection. And to me, it looked like an issue of the comic book surrounded by figures. Is that what that looked like to you?
I am so confused at where this is.
Oh, okay. If you go to the left-hand side of our Facebook page and click on Cody's messages, he's got a message up that says, just wanted to share my collection with you.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
And to me, like I said, it looked like an issue of the comic book mounted on the wall and surrounded by figurines. Is that what it looks like to you?
Yeah.
So that was super cool. And then he shared a movie that was made in Australia with a really hilarious personal message to him and the person who at that time was his girlfriend.
Oh man, this is so cool.
So the message was by John Jarrett. He's an actor that played Mick Taylor in Wolf Creek in 2005 Australian movie, and it says to Cody, "Get effed."
Yeah.
Trying to clean it up for Rob a little.
Yep. And also we had Art Mura. He posted on there too. I said I'd name everybody who posted this week. So keep it coming, folks. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole fun part of this. That's why we do it, as always. So keep us entertained and let's have fun. And so what do you guys think about? Is there really a Negan per se? Because I think it was in one of the older messages we talked about last week from Facebook, is that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was cast as Negan. Technically, that's true for everybody who was cast, as we are all Negan. So that could be that hard left turn.
I still think there's a Negan, and I think that they are just taking their identity from him, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the Facebook page has to say.
It would have been cooler if we wouldn't have known this actor had been cast.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. There would have been more mystery.
Because you would have been like, oh crap, that's the hard left turn. They're just going to make Negan as a group of people.
Right.
Not as a person. I'm still on board with Negan's still Negan, but he answers to a woman.
I think that will be super interesting if that is the hard left turn. I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm not quite sure I agree with that, but I think I'm just going to say if that's it, that's wicked cool because it's such a twist.
Because Negan could just be a general and Paula could have been a captain.
Yeah.
And, Shell was a lieutenant, and they just kind of kept branching down. Whereas Negan could just be the general that's in this area, so to speak.
I think it's a good twist. It's going to be interesting to see how it all maps out. Do you want to say that we got some clarification about who Jane was? Remember, we were like, who the hell is Jane?
Yeah, Jane from Breaking Bad, yes.
So she was Jesse's girlfriend. And it actually is the same girl who plays Jessica Jones, I think.
Well, I don't know. Someone else will tell us that one.
I'm pretty sure someone did tell us that one already, but that was what I took away from it. And I was like, holy cow. In fact, I think it was the conversation that Gijo and I were having with each other. Yeah, she's the woman who plays Jessica Jones.
Awesome.
So that's super cool. So I said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again. We just had great interaction. I'm so thrilled. And I'm really, really glad that people are taking that seriously because it really does make it just that much more fulfilling and interesting to do this.
I agree. Thank you, everybody. It's been fun. What else? I think we're good.
I think we're good.
It was a small episode. It didn't have a lot of moving parts like we discussed. Right. It was very, here's the storyline, here's what's going on. But it's that emotional breaking point of some of the characters and kind of what's going on. And now there's going to be the My Little Ponies group inside of Alexandria. And then there's going to be the G.I. Joe group.
Maybe this is what we call the catalyst episode. So it wasn't necessarily a big episode in terms of action, although there were some interesting moments in terms of action, but it was more a catalyst for our characters.
Yeah, I think it's going to, people going to die.
Yeah, it's going to have long-term ramifications. Absolutely.
And I don't want Morgan to win. It's going to make me very angry.
I don't think Morgan is going to win because that is not a tenable way of dealing with the zombie apocalypse. It's just not tenable. If he wins, the group is dead.
I hope he tries to throw Rick in jail and then there's just this giant upheaval. But if Morgan's trying to do it on his own and then Carol comes to the justification and says, yeah, I've seen it. Oh, so sorry. Backtrack one thing.
Okay.
What I thought was going to happen, comic book Carol.
Right.
With all those walkers there, very kind of jail-esque in the jail, where she just... So in the comics, very early on, Carol dies.
Yeah, way early.
She is heartbroken because Michonne was banging... God, what's his name?
It was Tyrese, wasn't it?
Tyrese, yeah, it was Tyrese. And Carol and Tyrese were an item way back in the beginning. And she was heartbroken that Tyrese went with Michonne now. And she kind of delusionally falls in love with a walker that they had tied up that they were observing to see the lasting effects. And she just kind of lunges into it and lets herself get devoured in a emotional love fest kind of way. Weird. I thought that was, as this was setting up, I'm like, oh man, she can't deal with how she's dealt with everything. And she's just going to walk into this walker.
Well, and here's the twist. I gotta stop you for just a second there. So Alicia Witt, when she was on Talking Dead, the gal who played Paula, she actually said that her death looked like she was kissing the walker.
Oh, yeah. Because he
that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
And the other part that made me think about that is when Carol, after she just got kicked a couple times by Donnie, she's laying there and she's looking at the walker in the glass at the door, who's kind of going row, row. Right. And then she just like stares at it and just keeps staring at it. She's like, oh man. And then when she was there, I'm like, oh my God, she's just going to like it was set up for her to like not to be able to deal with it anymore after just killing, you know, because she's like, what are you afraid of? When Paul's like, what are you afraid of, little bird? She's like, I was afraid I would have to do this.
Right.
And then she kills her, and then she just kind of walks into the walker and just lets herself be done.
That was pretty effective.
Oh, man. All right. So anyways.
So, I think we're wrapping it up.
Yeah. Are we? All right. Let's get ready to go. Ready to go. Let's take it one dead day at a time.
I think last week was better.
Yeah. We've had better days. Better days.
All right, you guys. So we will see you next week.
Bye.